This is One on One. We are joined by our good friend Jim Kirkos, who is the CEO of Meadowlands Regional Chamber of Commerce. Good to see you, my friend.
Always good to be here.
Let's talk what some people call, because you and your colleagues are involved in this, millennials, and you don't like to call them millennials, you call them?
Emerging leaders.
Okay, let's go right to it. We have a group of talented millennials, young leaders who work with our team, who run so much of what we do every day in our production company. And I don't get what a lot of other people say about so-called millennials. They're lazy, they don't work very hard, they want immediate gratification, they're not loyal to the company, blah, 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 blah. I don't see it. What am I missing?
No, I don't see it either. I have the same small, young, professional group in my office, and they are incredibly energetic and they perform their job well. I think there's a few people out there that may create that stereotype, but long and short, I think it's an exciting group.
How do we help emerging leaders be the best? Listen, I'm a student of leadership. You can check our website, which will be up on the screen right now, because one of the millennials, one of the emerging adults will, not adults, but leaders will put it up. We have a new radio series that we're doing as well that deals with leadership issues, and we're going to be talking about the question of young emerging leaders. Let me ask you this. What do they need from the rest of us who would not fall into that age category, a little more experienced?
Well, that's exactly. I think the word experience is really what they're looking for, and they're hungry for that type of information and that knowledge. Every single time we put a young emerging leader group together, and I try to go there and inspire them to understand what we do as a chamber, I leave inspired. I leave inspired because they have this great energy. They want to do great things in the world. You know, they seem to have a little bit more balance about what's important to them.
Whoa, hold on. I've known you long enough. By the way, Jim is one of our board members as well, and we have a cross-promotional relationship with their great publication and their website as well, so check that out as they put it up on the screen. We've had a lot of offline conversations. Are you saying that some of us who are older are a little bit out of balance and work so obsessively that we don't have the work-life balance we should?
That's right, and you and I are one of those.
I was just going to say that. My team was like, why are you sending this email at 2 in the morning?
Yeah. And listen, and that's really why I've become inspired by this group, because you know they'll work very differently. You know, I'm very active in the National Association of Chamber Executives. They did a future study, and that future study said that chambers of commerce in the future, business organizations like ours, we need to be different to attract young entrepreneurs, young business leaders, emerging leaders into our organization, because they're going to network and do business differently.
What do they want?
Well, listen, it may be a 7-day-a-week operation. Right now, I operate Monday through Friday as an organization. But young emerging leaders, they'll meet on a Saturday. They'll do a meetup on a Saturday afternoon.
But they don't want to work 18 hours on Monday and Tuesday.
It's not the time. They're not afraid to put the time in. They just don't want to be confined to a 9-to-5 box.
So more flexibility?
More flexibility. They'll put the time in, and they're working incredible hours.
They sure do.
Yeah, and they work. They're not afraid to work. They're not afraid to put in that energy. And so when I talk about balance, they just stretch it out a little bit. We try to squeeze it into that 5-day box. We wind up working 7 days a week anyway.
Yep, I hear you.
And so then when I say balance, I mean they just have a different perspective. They want to find pockets of time during the day where they can do some things for themselves, but then they'll go back to work, and they're not afraid to work till 10 o'clock.
Devil's advocate, what do you say to those, Jim? You say, you know what, you put all this time and effort in coaching and mentoring and helping emerging leaders be the best they can be, but you know what? Sooner or later, they're going to leave you anyway, because that's what they do. That's the stereotype.
No, but you could say that about anybody today. I have found if you invest the time in those emerging leaders, they will give you back 150%. And I think we just need to have that understanding, and that's what we're trying to do with our millennial issue, our emerging leader issue.
How are you connecting emerging leaders to other organizations?
So we're bringing them in. We have a very strong nonprofit group within there. So we have 18 not-for-profit charities that are members of our organization. We try to make the connection between business and those not-for-profits. Well, so now we're connecting young emerging leaders to those organizations so that they can understand what good they do in the community. You can't have a quality of life in any great economic region like the Meadowlands if there aren't great charity organizations that are doing those wonderful things in the community. So we want to groom the next set of board members for those charity organizations. We want them to understand that you have to give back along the way and not just work and make money. And that's what and not just give. It's part of the process.
What if, on a personal human level, we're comparable in age and experience, and we run small quote unquote not-for-profits that, let's say, are highly entrepreneurial, and if we don't bring in the dollars, we don't exist, right? So you and I are rainmakers.
Yep.
I'll use an old school term. We have to raise money all the time. Here's my point. What have you taken away personally and professionally from the experience with these emerging leaders?
So they have inspired me to continue to do what I do. I'm inspired to help them groom the next generation of leaders. I feel like my life has got a little bit of a new purpose, that it's really important for me to help them show the way, so that when it's time for me to put my hat and on the shelf and play a little bit more golf, that the world and my organization and the state and nonprofit organizations are going to have the next generation of strong leaders who care, that are passionate about what they do.
Before we do the World Cup coming to the Meadowlands area, real quick, do the podcast. What is it?
So we're going to do emerging leaders are going to do interviews of seasoned business entrepreneurs and professionals, and we're just going to do some podcasts so we can create some learning. And we're doing a reverse mentoring program where we have entrepreneurs mentoring emerging leaders and emerging leaders mentoring seasoned entrepreneurs and executives on how to deal with that.
Real quick, tell me the World Cup. What's up?
World Cup's coming in 2026, another great big event here. We're not sure of exactly what event, which game we'll have. I'm almost certain that we'll have a couple of great games at MetLife Stadium, whether it's a semifinal, a prelim game, or the final still to be determined. But we're incredibly excited by it.
What impact could it have on the Meadowlands area?
It's not only the direct impact of the game day, but every time we can say that we've done another world-renowned event in the Meadowlands, in New Jersey, it makes a big statement. The eyes of the world are on us, not only for that day, leading up to it, and even after the game.
Jim, got a minute left. Every time you've been with us, you know the one question I have to ask you, right? What's the update? And you know what?
American Dream is on its way. American Dream is being built. It's incredible. You drive by it today, it's going to open.
You've been saying this for a while.
Listen, I know I've been raising the pom-poms for about a dozen years here, but in April,
what are we going to see?
In April of 2019, we're going to cut the ribbon on that place, and it's going to be amazing.
Really?
Amazing.
Give us a preview.
Indoor water park, indoor amusement park, ski dome, aquarium, movie theaters, top-notch restaurants, nightclub entertainment, incredible retail. It's going to be beyond belief.
One more, 30 seconds left. I ask you this every time, and I'll do this for our radio show as well, about leadership. Jim Kirkos, the #1 leadership lesson you have learned to date is?
Be a great listener. Every time I talk to members of my organization, they have great things to say. I learn every day, even from emerging leaders, as we're talking about. It helps me become a better leader and have greater understanding of my members.
Jim Kirkos is a friend. He's a colleague. He runs a terrific organization, the Meadowlands Regional Chamber of Commerce. Jim, thank you for joining us and being a part of the public television conversation, particularly about emerging leaders.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
My pleasure.
Check you out next time, folks.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by NJIT, PSE&G, the law firm of Gibbons, PC, the New Jersey Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor, Kessler Foundation, Adler Aphasia Center, and by MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com. And by Observer New Jersey Politics. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.